Think back to how learning the Quran used to work, even just a few decades ago. It usually meant taking a quick walk down the street to the local mosque or community center, right? The whole traditional method relied entirely on geographic proximity. But today, if we're being honest, the reality for the global diaspora is vastly different. Families are trying to navigate this modern, hyper-busy world far from those traditional hubs of Islamic learning, and it creates a major challenge when trying to bridge the gap between home and heritage. Finding the right teacher, the exact right curriculum, and a schedule that actually fits, it can feel completely overwhelming. So, in today's Explainer, we're diving into how modern digital platforms are stepping up to digitize these traditional educational frameworks. We're going to look specifically at how Ajwa Academy is bringing authentic, highly structured Quranic education directly into homes all across the globe.
So, let's just tackle this question head-on. How do you actually find qualified teachers when you are miles or even continents away from traditional centers? It's this massive logistical bottleneck that Muslim families living in non-Muslim majority countries face every single day. You obviously want your kids, or maybe even yourself, to learn the proper recitation, precise pronunciation, and all those foundational values. But the physical logistics are just incredibly tough. You're restricted by local availability, which in some places might be virtually zero. You have to battle rush hour traffic after work or school, juggle conflicting extracurriculars, and deal with the sheer scarcity of certified scholars in a lot of Western cities. And, all that friction often just leads to delayed or totally abandoned learning.
To get a complete picture, we're going to break this explainer down into 6 quick parts: bringing Quran education home, the Ajwa Academy vision, comprehensive online courses, why students choose Ajwa, real global success stories, and finally, how to get started.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, bringing Quran education home.
We're talking about a massive, decentralized need spreading across regions like the UK, the USA, Canada, Australia, the UAE, and Europe. These are vast areas where the Muslim population is growing incredibly fast, but the traditional educational infrastructure, well, it just hasn't always kept pace. Finding a local, top-tier teacher who also seamlessly slots into a hectic family schedule can feel nearly impossible in these locations. People are actively searching for a way to keep their religious education absolutely authentic without having to compromise on modern accessibility. That exact geographical gap has created a direct, measurable demand for digital alternatives that are both flexible and completely trustworthy.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Ajwa Academy vision.
The driving force behind platforms like this almost always stems from someone identifying a very specific educational shortfall. In this case, founder Muhammad Ibrahim realized that a huge number of children and young Muslims simply lack access to structured online Quran learning. Sure, it's super easy to pull up a passive video or download an automated app, but passive learning usually falls flat for Quranic studies because it completely lacks real-time correction and that vital interactive engagement. Finding sincere, disciplined education that actually captures the next generation's attention is a whole different ballgame. The goal here was really to build a platform that permanently closes the gap between just passively consuming content and active, supervised learning.
And what's really crucial here is the founder's specific background in online Quran teaching and curriculum design, because it directly shapes how the whole platform is structured. Actually, this isn't just some generic tech company hosting video calls. It's an educational framework built from the ground up by an educator. Proper Quran comprehension and Tajweed require a highly structured, progressive system to make sure a student actually learns the complex rules of pronunciation correctly before jumping into advanced reading. By carving out accessible spaces specifically for Muslim youth, the platform leans on tailored, step-by-step guidance instead of a lazy, one-size-fits-all approach.
This motto perfectly highlights their attempt to replicate traditional values inside a digital space. A lot of the time, online learning gets a bad rap for feeling disconnected or lacking discipline. But maintaining traditional adab, that deep etiquette and respect you'd normally find in a physical learning environment, is absolutely critical for this specific subject matter. This whole philosophy ensures that the structure, the respect, and the sincerity of a traditional classroom are beamed straight to a digital screen. It means the real seriousness of the study isn't getting lost somewhere over your Wi-Fi connection.
Okay, let's look at Section 3, comprehensive online courses.
So, what are they actually teaching? They provide a totally complete curriculum that caters to a huge range of learning stages. Just to break these foundational terms down for a second, Quran Nazra is all about learning to accurately read the Arabic text by looking directly at it, which is the absolute essential first step.
Basic Tajweed involves the incredibly precise, complex rules of pronunciation and articulation, making sure every single letter sounds exactly as it should according to historical tradition. Then there's Hifzul Quran, which is the rigorous track dedicated entirely to strictly memorizing the text. Throw in foundational daily practices like namaz, du'as, and basic Islamic education, and you've got a completely holistic path taking someone from total novice to advanced memorizer.
I really want to be clear about this point. These are not pre-recorded videos. The curriculum runs entirely on live, personalized, one-to-one sessions that are tailored to each student's unique pace. The defining mechanical feature here is that real-time interaction. When you or your child are learning something as highly precise as Tajweed, having a qualified teacher actively listening and immediately correcting a micro mispronunciation is absolutely 100% critical. A one-way YouTube video simply cannot replicate that essential feedback loop.
Which brings us to Section 4, why students choose Ajwa.
These specific features are exactly what resolve the biggest logistical hurdles for busy households. Offering flexible schedules for international time zones, combined with that personalized one-on-one focus, directly knocks down the barriers of limited time and scattered attention. Plus, their commitment to using only certified teachers really helps cultivate an authentic Islamic environment, even through a digital interface. Keeping a sincere, respectful setting where the teacher is highly vetted builds a much stronger, more culturally authentic connection with the material. And honestly, it ensures parents actually have confidence in the quality of the instruction.
Let's look at some data. Having conducted over 850 online classes, the platform has clearly developed a deep well of operational experience. That volume of classes represents a massive amount of refinement when it comes to handling connectivity, pacing the curriculum, and standardizing the teaching approach across all different ages and skill levels.
And that operational experience is exactly what supports their growing globally distributed community of 127 students. Trying to maintain a cohesive community vibe when your students are literally spread across entirely different continents? That requires really consistent communication, standardized progress tracking, and a unified curriculum that guarantees every student gets the exact same standard of education no matter where they live.
Now, managing all those global time zones mechanically requires a pretty deep roster, and they've got a solid team of over 10 highly qualified online instructors. Because they have instructors available across various global shifts, the platform can easily route a student who needs an evening class in London to a teacher operating on a perfectly compatible schedule. It seamlessly bridges those international time gaps without ever sacrificing that dedicated one-on-one attention. Okay, this is the metric that really jumps out to me, a 98% student satisfaction rate. When you place that in the broader context of digital education, it's huge. In general e-learning, keeping students, especially children, engaged and consistently motivated is notoriously brutal. Industry-wide dropout rates are usually sky-high. So maintaining a 98% satisfaction rate points directly to how effective personalized pacing is, and it really highlights the patience of the instructors in keeping these students actively engaged over the long haul.
Let's put some faces to those numbers in Section 5, real global success stories. Because the back-end infrastructure is purposefully designed to offer highly flexible scheduling around the clock, the platform actually operates as a truly asynchronous global classroom. The system effortlessly routes diverse demographics across the UK, USA, Canada, Australia, the UAE, and Europe. Basically, the Academy adapts entirely to the student's local reality. No one is forcing a family in Toronto to wake up at some unreasonable hour just to match a teacher's availability in another hemisphere.
You see feedback like this from Sarah in the UK, and it perfectly highlights the immediate, tangible progress that comes from this model. When a kid has the undivided, patient attention of a super clear instructor in a private setting, they are going to overcome reading hurdles so much faster than they ever could in a crowded, noisy weekend classroom. Seeing that kind of rapid progress in just a few weeks completely boosts the student's confidence and makes them actually want to continue.
And then we have Ahmad from the USA, who perfectly illustrates the specific solution this setup offers for adult learners. Adults face this really unique psychological barrier when they try to learn a new script or correct deep-rooted pronunciation errors. You often feel a bit of anxiety or embarrassment doing it in a group setting. But the absolute privacy of a one-to-one class, paired with flexible timings, it completely removes that anxiety and the friction of strict schedules, allowing adults balancing intense work and family lives to actually stay consistent with their practice long-term.
All right, wrapping up with Section 6, how to get started.
The onboarding funnel here is designed to be totally frictionless and operates in 3 distinct, very objective steps to test mutual compatibility. Step 1, you literally just book a free trial class online. Step 2, you experience a live, one-on-one session to directly test out the teaching method and see exactly how those real-time feedback mechanics operate for yourself. And finally, step 3 involves formal enrollment to begin the actual structured journey. It's a completely risk-free way for families to evaluate both the technology and the teaching style before making any commitments.
As platforms like Ajwa Academy successfully digitize these traditional educational frameworks, it leaves us with a really fascinating question. With expert teachers now available globally, beaming directly through a screen into your home, how will the traditional landscape of local Islamic community centers adapt in the coming decade? I'll leave you with that to chew on. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I hope it gave you a clear, objective look at how online Quranic education is evolving. Keep learning.